Discover the divine revelations of Iran in the Bible, 7 past prophecies, 3 current crises, and 1. In the 3rd year of Jehoiakim, king of Judah, Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, came to Jerusalem and besieged it. And the Lord gave Jehoiakim king of Judah into his hand, with some of the vessels of the house of God. This was a time of turmoil, where hope lay shattered amidst the ruins of Jerusalem, and the faith of the people teetered dangerously on the brink of despair. Among the captives was a young man named Daniel, whose heart remained steadfast in faithfulness to Yahweh, yet here he was trapped within the opulence of Nebuchadnezzar's court, surrounded by golden idols and the fragrances of incense offered to foreign gods. Each evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the skies in hues of orange and crimson, Daniel faced Jerusalem. He remembered the sacred promise whispered to him by his mentor, a coming kingdom that would rise from the east, destined to uphold righteousness and justice. His prayers ascended to heaven, asking for wisdom and insight, for he sensed the weight of prophecy heavy in the Ar and the bustling marketplace of Babylon, vibrant with colors and noise. Daniel often overheard conversations about a future ruler who would emerge a great conqueror destined to change the fate of nations. Clinging to the scrolls he cherished, Daniel felt an urgency brewing within. How would God's plan unfold? The visions granted to him were troubling: a ram charging fiercely to the west, the north, and the south, only to be struck down by a swift, powerful goat from the west. Each night, as the visions danced in his mind, Daniel pondered the implications of these kingdoms, the Medes, the Persians, the coming dominion of the Greeks. One fateful night, as Daniel knelt in prayer, he could feel the tension of his people pressing on him like a heavy cloak. He clung to the words of the prophets. His thoughts drifted to a noble-hearted woman in Persia named Esther, a queen with beauty that captivated a king and courage that would seal her fate. A whisper of courage shook Daniel's spirit as he recalled Mordecai's challenge to Esther, for such a time as this. Would she rise to protect their people from Haman's dark plot? Like her, Daniel felt a pressing weight of responsibility resting upon him. Before we continue with this incredible biblical account, I want to make sure you don't miss any of these powerful scripture stories. Click the bell icon and select all notifications. These biblical narratives have transformed countless lives throughout history. If God's word through this story is blessing you, please like and share with someone who needs to hear about God's faithfulness today. Tell me in the comments, which biblical story has most impacted your faith journey? I'm always amazed how God's word speaks to hearts across generations. Now let's continue with what the Lord did next. The alarm bells of history rang within his spirit as he sought the meaning of the ram and the goat. Were these visions heralds of doom, or glimpses of hope? As shadows lengthened over Babylon, despair sometimes mingled with longing, yet, in every cry of the exiled people, Daniel found comfort, for Yahweh's mercy remained steadfast. Amidst the darkness, hope lingered, an ember ready to be ignited. Standing at the threshold of destiny, Daniel prepared to confront the king, holding within him the weight of divine revelation, wrestling with the potent questions of how God's promises would infuse the desolation of his people, and trusting the unfolding of a plan written in the heavens. In the midst of the unyielding splendor of Babylon, Daniel sought to be faithful in a foreign land, his spirit disquieted yet steadfast. With the heart of a prophet, he found solace in prayer, fervent and genuine. Each dawn brought the weight of responsibility, urging him to rise early and implore the God of Israel for wisdom. He knew that the fate of his people lay entwined with discernment and obedience to the divine voice echoing in the shadows. Days turned to weeks, and with each passing dusk, the dream of Nebuchadnezzar spread over the land like an indelible mist. The king's troubled sleep was filled with the weight of ominous visions, leaving him restless. The rulers and wise men of the court were summoned to decode these signs, yet none could unveil the mysteries etched in the king's mind. The fear of his wrath grew palpable in the hearts of all, and a decree was issued: "Bring me the interpreters of dreams, and those who cannot reveal their meanings shall meet their end." On hearing of this decree, Daniel's heart quickened within him. Could not the God of heaven shed light upon this darkness? He turned to his friends Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah, urging them to join in prayer. "Let us beseech the God of our forefathers," he implored, "that he may reveal this mystery, for we are but vessels in his mighty hand." United in purpose, they sought the mercy of the Almighty, their voices rising like incense before the throne of grace. That night, a vision was bestowed upon Daniel, as if the heavens had parted. The dream of the king was made clear, revealing a colossal statue composed of varying materials: gold, silver, bronze, iron, and clay. Each section signified kingdoms that would rise and fall, a testament to the transient nature of earthly power. And at its base, a stone was hewn without human hands that struck the statue, crumbling it to dust and establishing a kingdom that would endure forever. With reverent awe, Daniel recorded the vision, the weight of its significance pressing upon him. This was more than a revelation, this was a divine proclamation of sovereignty over the nations. The following day, he stood before Nebuchadnezzar, the king's eyes ablaze with expectation and fury at the uncertainty that had plagued him. "Are you able to make known to me the dream that I have seen and its interpretation?" The king demanded, his impatience evident. Daniel replied, "O king, there is no man on earth who can reveal this matter. However, there is a God in heaven who reveals secrets, and he has shown you what shall be in the latter days." As he unveiled the meaning of the dream, the king's unease transformed into astonishment. The interpretation bestowed upon Daniel illuminated the path of nations, crafting a narrative rich with divine purpose and warning. As Nebuchadnezzar beheld his fate revealed, the rise of empires, the fall of kings, and the ultimate dominance of God's kingdom, he fell prostrate before Daniel, recognizing an authority that transcended the earthly throne. Yet, the tension remained, for the seeds of wickedness still lingered within the heart of the king, and as Daniel left the court, the echoes of his words lingered in the air: "A kingdom will be formed that will never be destroyed." What tremors would this herald? What motives lay concealed in the heart of the king? The people of God hungered for deliverance, and Daniel knew that he had merely touched the surface of a greater revelation. In this moment of glory for Daniel, the hand of God provided not only an interpretation but also a foretelling of the trials to come, a shadow cast upon the glory of the everlasting kingdom. But the story was far from complete. For even amidst the glory, unseen forces plotted, and unseen realms waged war. What mysteries awaited the faithful prophet of the Lord, and how might they shift the very course of human history? The answers, Daniel sensed, were shrouded in the great tapestry of the Almighty's sovereign plan, a plan that would unfold with time, revealing the depth of God's grace and the ultimate triumph of His kingdom. And it came to pass that after the incredible revelation granted to Daniel, the king, overwhelmed by the grandeur of the truth that had been unveiled before him, commanded that gifts and honors be bestowed upon Daniel. He was made ruler over the whole province of Babylon and chief of the governors over all the wise men of Babylon. Yet, amidst the accolades and the royal favor, Daniel remained humble, recognizing that his wisdom came not from his own accord but from the God of Israel. He sought the Lord's guidance constantly, knowing that earthly powers were fleeting, yet the knowledge and honor of God stood eternal. In the days that followed, Daniel petitioned the king that his friends, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah, be appointed to positions of authority compatible with their gifts. The king, seeing their capability and faith, granted it unto them, for they had shown great fidelity in the midst of trials. But there arose a dark atmosphere in the court, for the king's heart, though momentarily awed by the prophet's God, began to sway in pride. Nebuchadnezzar constructed a golden image, a monument of his glory, ordering all in the land to bow before it, demanding allegiance to this carved idol rather than to the Creator of heaven and earth. As the decree echoed throughout Babylon, news reached Daniel and his friends. The weight of the moment bore down upon them, as they contemplated the gravity of the king's command. They gathered in a secluded place, their hearts interwoven with fervor and trepidation, imploring the Lord for strength to stand firm in their faith. "Our God whom we serve is able to deliver us from the burning fiery furnace," they resolved, "but even if he does not, we will not serve your gods or worship the golden image." Their defiance was a declaration of faith, a testament to their conviction in the presence of impending peril. The king's wrath ignited upon realizing that Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego refused to bow. He summoned them forth, eyes aflame with fury, demanding an answer to their rebellion. "Is it true that you do not serve my gods or worship the golden image?" He thundered, yielding no room for mercy. The three young men stood resolute, their voices steady as they responded, "O king, we have no need to answer you in this matter. Our God, whom we serve, is able to deliver us. But if not, let it be known to you that we will not serve your gods nor worship the golden image you have set up." A hush fell upon the court, the tension thick with divine anticipation. Nebuchadnezzar's face darkened as he ordered the furnace to be heated 7 times hot, the flames licking the skies, seemingly an emblem of his wrath. Yet, in this moment of trial, a profound mystery stirred in the heavens. As the mighty flames roared and engulfed the three, they were cast into the fire, bound and helpless. Yet, amidst the flames, the fourth figure appeared, a manifestation of the divine, appearing as the Son of God, walking unharmed in the midst of the fire, shielding them from the wrath of man. The scene was set against the backdrop of human folly, where a king's pride clashed with divine fidelity. What could this encounter mean? What would the Lord's deliverance signify, not just for Daniel and his friends, but for the future of his people? The nation held its breath, awaiting revelation. For it was in this fiery trial that faith would shine brighter than gold, a testament to the faithful who would endure. And in that moment, the king would witness a glimpse of divine truth, yet to be fully realized. And so the tale of Daniel, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego continued, a story twined within the vast purposes of God's sovereign plan, one that echoed throughout ages, revealing the profound testament that even in the fiercest of fires, the faithful would find communion with the Almighty, and therein lay a promise yet unfolding. What further mysteries waited to be revealed in the heart of Babylon, under the hand of divine providence? The answer awaited. And it came to pass that as the flames roared with fierce intensity, the fate of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego hung in the balance, drawing the eyes of the multitude present in the court of Nebuchadnezzar. The king, filled with rage, watched as the young men were cast into the fiery furnace, their bonds still intact, a testament to the king's wrath, but so too a canvas upon which God's glory would be displayed. Yet, as the high priestly fire danced, the hearts of those who witnessed began to wrestle with a growing unease. People murmured among themselves, each one grappling with the insurmountable contradiction of a righteous God preserving his faithful amidst the devouring flames. A flicker of hope ignited where fear had resided. "O king," cried one of the advisers, peering through the haze of heat and fire, "did we not cast 3 men bound into the midst of the fire?" His voice trembled, for he could scarcely comprehend the vision that lay before him. "Indeed, we did," Nebuchadnezzar replied, incredulity shaping his words. "But lo! I see 4 men unbound, walking in the fire, and they are not hurt, and the appearance of the fourth is like the Son of God." The proclamation hung in the air, a startling testament that echoed through the hearts of many present. The king's countenance shifted, disbelief turned to astonishment as he stepped closer, his fear now mingled with awe. "Shadrach, Meshach, Abednego, servants of the Most High God," he called out, his voice trembling with newfound reverence, "come forth and come here." The 3 emerged from the flames unscathed, not even the smell of smoke upon their garments, their faith standing resolute against tyranny and fire. The crowd erupted in gasps, murmurs spreading like wildfire among the onlookers. How could these men walk unharmed in the midst of such torment? The king himself approached, inspecting them closely. "Blessed be the God of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego," he declared, a revelation dawning upon his troubled spirit, "who has sent his angel and delivered his servants who have trusted in him." Here was the turning of hearts. A king once steeped in pride now proclaimed the sovereignty of the God of Israel. "I make a decree," he continued, "that any people, nation, or language that speaks anything amiss against the God of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego shall be torn limb from limb, and their houses made a dunghill." Thus, the faithful were honored, and the king's decree became a matter of national law, marking a moment of divine intervention in the heart of a pagan empire. And Daniel and his friends became renowned, their testimony rippling through Babylon. Yet, the tale had not concluded. The divine narrative pressed onward, for the sovereign plan of God was unfolding with greater intensity. What profound lessons awaited the exiled people of Israel here in Babylon, and what dangers lay ahead for the prideful king now open to divine influence? As the humbled king pondered the events of the day, a new vision overtook him, a foreboding yet pivotal dream that foretold the rise and fall of empires. Little did he know, the thread of God's sovereignty was intricately weaving through the fabric of history to reveal an even greater purpose. The fires of faith had not merely burned for Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego alone the flames had ignited the hearts of many, unfolding the beginning of a transformation that would echo through the ages, revealing more of God's sovereign plan, a plan rich with prophecy and promise yet to come. What further wonders awaited in the chronicles of his people, and how would they respond when the fires of trials engulfed them, as they surely would again? The answer awaited, hidden within the unfolding story of redemption. And it came to pass that during the reign of Nebuchadnezzar, the countenance of the king was troubled, haunted by visions that appeared in the night as shadows of chaos looming over his throne. He could neither rest nor find solace, for the scenes that flashed before his eyes were vivid with portent. In his heart lay a longing for understanding, a desire to grasp the threads of destiny woven by the hand of the divine. "Bring in the wise men of Babylon," he commanded with urgency, "the magicians, the enchanters, and the Chaldeans, that they may interpret my dream." One by one, they came, adorned in their robes of authority, yet their hearts quaked in fear as they entered the presence of the king, for they could see his wrath had begun to stir. The king spoke to them, "I have dreamed a dream, and my spirit is troubled to know the dream." They bowed low and answered his request, yet he made a demand that rocked their foundations. "Tell me my dream, and interpret it for me, for if you cannot do this, you shall be torn limb from limb." The wise men trembled, knowing full well their craft was powerless against such a decree. "There is not a man on earth who can meet your demand, O king." "The gods reside not among mortals," they replied, fear threading through their voices, but Daniel, a man endowed with divine wisdom and insight, heard of the king's distress. He approached the king's guard, Arioch, and requested an audience with the king, saying, "Give me time, and I shall reveal the dream and interpretation." So, Daniel returned to his companions, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, and together they sought mercy from the God of heaven. In the stillness of the night, the secret was revealed to Daniel in a vision, and he blessed the God of all creation. "Blessed be the name of God forever and ever." He cried, "For wisdom and might are his. He changes the times and the seasons, he removes kings and sets up kings, he gives wisdom to the wise and knowledge to those who have understanding." When the dawn broke, Daniel hastened to the king. "O king, live forever. The God of heaven has granted me the revelation of your dream," he proclaimed, stepping boldly into the presence of Nebuchadnezzar. "You saw a great statue, whose head was of fine gold, its chest and arms of silver, its belly and thighs of bronze, its legs of iron, and its feet partly of iron and partly of clay. This statue represents the empires of men, each succeeding one crumbling under the weight of its own pride and sin." The king's eyes widened in astonishment as Daniel spoke, the truth of God unraveling before him. "But in the days of those kings," Daniel continued, "the God of heaven will set up a kingdom that shall never be destroyed, it will break in pieces all these kingdoms and bring them to an end, and it shall stand forever." A holy silence enveloped the chamber, for the weight of divine prophecy rested heavily upon them. As understanding dawned upon Nebuchadnezzar, he marveled at the revelation, his heart softened as the fear of the Almighty gripped him. "Truly, your God is the God of gods and the Lord of kings, and a revealer of mysteries," he acknowledged, presence awash in reverence, and though he praised Daniel and elevated him in his kingdom, the true message echoed through the heart of the land: a kingdom was being established, everlasting and holy, a part of God's sovereign plan which transcended every earthly regime. The echoes of that truth began to vibrate in every corner of Babylon, awakening a longing for the one who reigns above. As the days unfolded, the people marveled at the might of the God of Israel. Yet, deeper secrets lay hidden beyond the horizon. What other kingdoms would rise and fall, and what role would his faithful servants play in the unfolding tapestry of destiny? The revelation continued, threaded through a divine narrative yet to be fully realized. "And it came to pass, after these things, that the king made an image of gold, whose height was 60 cubits and the breadth thereof 6 cubits. He set it up in the plain of Dura, in the province of Babylon. Nebuchadnezzar summoned the rulers, the governors, the captains, the judges, and all the chief officials of the provinces to come to the dedication of the image which he had set up. And they stood before the image as the herald cried out clearly, 'To you it is commanded, O people, nations, and languages, that at what time ye hear the sound of the trumpet, harp, sackbut, psaltery, dulcimer, and all kinds of music, ye fall down and worship the golden image that Nebuchadnezzar the king hath set up. And whoso falleth not down and worshipped shall the same hour be cast into the midst of a burning fiery furnace. As the music played and the voices of Babylon rose in unison, all the people fell down and worshipped the image of gold. But in the midst of that sea of bowed heads, 3 figures stood resolutely upright: Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Their hearts were steadfast, for they remembered the command of the Lord, "Thou shalt have no other gods before me." Exodus 20 verse 3. Word reached the king that these men would not bow, and rage ignited within him. He called them forth and said, "Is it true, O Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, that ye do not serve my gods nor worship the golden image which I have set up? Now if ye be ready that at what time ye hear the sound of the music, ye fall down and worship the image, well, but if ye worship not, ye shall be cast the same hour into the midst of a burning fiery furnace. And who is that God that shall deliver you out of my hands?" With unwavering resolve, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego answered, "O Nebuchadnezzar, we are not careful to answer thee in this matter. If it be so, our God whom we serve is able to deliver us from the burning fiery furnace, and he will deliver us out of thine hand, O king. But if not, be it known unto thee, that we will not serve thy gods, nor worship the golden image which thou hast set up." The king's fury boiled over, and his face became distorted with wrath as he commanded that the furnace be heated 7 times more than it was wont to be heated. He instructed the mighty men of valor to bind Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego and cast them into the fiery furnace. The men were thrown into the flames, and the heat was so fierce that it consumed those who brought them near. But as the king gazed into the furnace, he was astonished. He rose up in haste and spake, saying unto his counselors, "Did we not cast 3 men bound into the fire?" They answered and said, "True, O king." He exclaimed, "Lo, I see 4 men loose, walking in the midst of the fire, and they have no hurt, and the form of the 4th is like the Son of God." Then Nebuchadnezzar drew near to the mouth of the burning fiery furnace and spoke, "Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, ye servants of the Most High God, come forth, and come hither." They came out of the midst of the fire, and the princes, governors, and captains gathered around them, and they saw that the fire had no power upon their bodies, nor was a hair of their head singed, neither were their coats changed, nor the smell of fire passed on them. Nebuchadnezzar spake and said, "Blessed be the God of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, who hath sent his angel and delivered his servants that trusted in him." It was a testimony that echoed through the kingdom, proclaiming the majesty and sovereignty of God, but even as the king bore witness to the deliverance, an unspoken truth lingered in the air. A divine mystery remained, waiting to be unveiled. What further trials awaited those who would stand firm in their faith, and how would the Almighty continue to demonstrate his power among the nations? The journey of his faithful servants was only beginning, revealing the depths of God's eternal plan yet to unfold. And it came to pass, that after Nebuchadnezzar proclaimed the greatness of the God of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, he made a decree throughout all his dominion, saying, "Every people, nation, and language which speak anything amiss against the God of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego shall be cut in pieces, and their houses shall be made a dunghill, for there is no other God that can deliver after this sort." With astonishment, the king observed how the fire had not harmed his servants, and a deep fear engulfed him, for he realized that the God of Israel was not to be trifled with. He saw in this miraculous event not only the deliverance of 3 men but the undeniable power and authority of the one true God. But unbeknownst to Nebuchadnezzar, the trials had only just begun for the faithful ones, for the Lord had laid upon them a path that would stretch beyond the gates of Babylon, touching distant lands and echoing through ages. As Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego were elevated in the king's court, whispers of discontent began to rise among those who felt their own gods were slighted by this act of divine providence. That in the shadows of the palace, certain Chaldeans plotted against the 3 men, for their spirits were vexed by the promotion of these Hebrew youths. They approached the king and accused them, saying, "O king, live forever. Thou hast made a decree that every man that shall hear the sound of the music shall fall down and worship the golden image, yet these men have disregarded your command, and they do not serve thy gods." As their accusations reached the ears of Nebuchadnezzar, the king's anger arose once more, and he summoned the three to question them again. "Is it true, O Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, that you refuse to serve my gods or worship the golden image?" he demanded. With steadfast hearts, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego reverently replied, "O king, we are not careful to answer thee in this matter. Our God whom we serve is able to deliver us from the burning fiery furnace, and he will deliver us from thy hand. But if not, be it known unto thee, we will not serve thy gods nor worship the golden image which thou hast set up." Their declaration resonated with the weight of faith, and Nebuchadnezzar, perceiving their unwavering loyalty, was filled with rage. He commanded that the furnace be heated yet again, that its flames might sear their flesh and extinguish their defiance. As they were bound and led to their fate, they continued to lift their hearts to the Lord, invoking his name with unwavering trust. The heat was overwhelming, but even as they approached the furnace, they were not alone. The presence of the Almighty was with them, and in that fierce moment, a divine stillness fell over the fire, for it could neither touch nor harm those who were righteous in his sight. The king watched in astonishment as the furnace encircled them, and once again, the Son of God appeared among them. It became clear to all who beheld the scene that this was not merely a clash of wills between man and fire, but a profound revelation of God's sovereign plan, a testament to his power that stretched even beyond the bounds of earthly authority. The king, struck by their miraculous preservation, began to ponder the God who could protect his servants from death. Had he truly grasped the depths of his power? What mysteries of God lay beyond this display of might? As they emerged from the flames unscathed, a new question burned within the king's mind, echoing the hearts of those assembled: what would this God do next? And as nations turned their ears toward Babylon, God's greater design began to unfold, for he had not yet revealed the full measure of his wonders nor the ultimate purpose woven through the tapestry of history. And it came to pass that after the miraculous deliverance of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego from the furnace, Nebuchadnezzar, filled with awe and trembling, summoned his lords and governors to assemble before him. The great king declared, "Blessed be the God of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, who hath sent his angel and delivered his servants that trusted in him, and have changed the king's word, and yielded their bodies, that they might not serve nor worship any god, except their own God." Thus, the decree was issued anew, and Nebuchadnezzar commanded that all people in his realm should honor the Most High God by speaking reverently of him, for no other God could deliver like this God of Israel. Yet amid this proclamation of reverence, the hearts of the Chaldeans remained bitter. They conspired, whispering among themselves of the need to diminish the influence of these Hebrew men. They wrestled with envy, their mouths were shut as if bound by fear, but their hearts plotted a deeper deceit. In secret, they sought ways to unravel the favor bestowed upon Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. "Let us find fault in their service to the king," one murmured. "Surely there must be a reason that we may accuse them before Nebuchadnezzar." So these wise men of Babylon approached the king with flattery, saying, "O king, live forever. Your majesty has established a great kingdom, and yet we perceive that your counselors serve you well. But these Hebrew men, though blessed by the Most High, do not maintain your decrees in the manner you require." Nebuchadnezzar listened, his brow furrowing as he considered their words. They artfully twisted truths against Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, stating, "They neglect to serve you faithfully, even in the matters of administration." Fueled by fury and by the treachery of the Chaldeans, the king summoned the three once more. As they were brought into his presence, a heavy silence enveloped the assembly. "O ye servants of the Most High," Nebuchadnezzar demanded, "is it true that you have not honored your loyalty to me and to my command? Was it not declared that every man must fall down and worship the golden image?" Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego stood resolute as mighty trees against the storm. "O king," they answered, "we are not careful to answer thee in this matter. Our God is able to deliver us from the burning fiery furnace, and he will deliver us from thy hand. But if not, be it known unto thee that we will not serve thy gods nor worship the golden image which thou hast set up." At their declaration, the king's anger kindled once more like the flames of the furnace that had crested forth. The fire of his wrath leapt forth, but the fire of their faith stood firm. As Nebuchadnezzar commanded that the furnace be heated 7 times hotter than before, a sense of dread fell upon the onlookers. They watched as obedient soldiers bound the faithful men and cast them into the blazing inferno. However, fear turned into awe when the king saw once more, "Did we not cast 3 men into the fire? Lo, I see 4 men loose, walking in the midst of the fire, and they have no hurt." The 4th looked as the Son of God, and an unearthly calmness pervaded the flames. Friends and foes alike were drawn to this spectacle, the destiny of nations crafted by divine intervention. And at that moment, Nebuchadnezzar recognized not only the power of the Most High but the vastness of his sovereign plan. What wonders could follow this miraculous sign? The hearts of men were left pondering as the God of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego beckoned forth a greater revelation that would ripple through time, ever calling his people to trust beyond what the world could comprehend. For the faithful were not alone, their story was a thread woven into the greater narrative of redemption, a call to hands raised in yearning toward heaven. What divine purpose remained unfulfilled, and what mysteries yet persevered in the heart of God? As the flames dimmed and the echoes of deliverance reverberated within the hearts of the assembly, Nebuchadnezzar approached the mouth of the furnace, peering into the fiery depths with wide eyes. The heat that had consumed the stout soldiers who cast in Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego only moments before seemed to lose its grip as awe enveloped the king, compelling him to call forth the 3 survivors. "Come forth, ye servants of the Most High God," he declared, his voice trembling with a mixture of fear and reverence. The astonished spectators witnessed the miraculous sight as the 3 men emerged from the fire, their garments unscorched, and the very smell of smoke upon them absent. In that moment, the terror of the furnace faded into the awe of the Almighty. The king, his heart no longer filled with rage but rather with wonder, spoke again, "Blessed be the God of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, who hath sent his angel and delivered his servants." Despite the power he wielded, Nebuchadnezzar was drawn to the truth of the God who intervened sovereignly in the realm of mortals. As the gathered crowd marveled at the sight before them, the rulers and governors felt the weight of their deceptions melting away under the blaze of divine truth. Even those among them who had plotted deceit now stood in reverence, gripped by the fear of the Lord. The witnesses began to whisper amongst themselves of the great power they had seen, and tales of such miraculous salvation rippled beyond the walls of Babylon like wildfire. Thus, a new decree was issued, commanding that all people should honor the God of Israel. "If any speak against this God," the king declared, "let their houses be made a dunghill, for there is no other God that can deliver after this sort." Even amidst the king's command, something deeper stirred within Nebuchadnezzar, as the Holy Spirit began to unveil mysteries and intentions long hidden from him. In the days that followed, the favor of the king fell heavily upon Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. They were appointed to serve in a manner that shimmered with respect and authority, operating as agents of God's truth within the very kingdom that had sought their destruction. Yet as they tread the corridors of power, a deeper disquiet stirred in their spirits. They sensed that their trials were not merely for their deliverance but heralded a greater prophetic unfolding point. One night, as the stars shone brightly over Babylon, Daniel prayed earnestly, seeking revelation for the days that lay ahead. For he too had witnessed the mighty acts of God, and knew that divine encounters carried weighty significance. The Lord visited him, and the vision spoke of kingdoms rising and falling, of a final judgment, and the enduring promise given to those who remained faithful amidst trials. It was revealed to him that the furnace was a mere prelude to the refining fire that awaited God's people throughout the ages. Nations would be shaken, and faith would be tested beyond comprehension. "But blessed are those who endure," the Lord whispered, "for their reward is great in the kingdom to come." And as the revelation stirred within him, a sacred urgency clung to Daniel's heart. The faithful would indeed face greater trials, and his friends would not stand alone. Even in their redemption from the flames of the furnace, a call remained steadfast, to declare the name of the Lord unto the ends of the earth. As the tapestry of salvation unfolded, what mystery lay beyond these trials? What divine purpose remained hidden? The winds of prophecy began to blow anew, declaring that the God of Israel would not only walk with his people through fires but prepare a means for the ages to behold his glory entangled with his redemptive justice, guiding them towards a day of final restoration. And it came to pass that after many days of wonder, Nebuchadnezzar's heart began to soften beneath the mighty hand of the God of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. His experiences witnessed within the fiery furnace transformed him, revealing a revelation of power and sovereignty that pierced through the veil of his pride. Upon reflecting on the miraculous deliverance of God's servants, he pondered the weighty truths hidden within the hearts of the faithful, yearning for understanding that addressed the depth of his own spirit. As time proceeded, Nebuchadnezzar was troubled yet again by unsettling dreams that eclipsed his nights. These dreams spoke of the rise and fall of kingdoms, imparting truths wrapped in prophetic symbolism that demanded his attention. Bewildered by their gravity, the king summoned Daniel once more, for only he, filled with divine wisdom, could unveil the messages crafted by the finger of God. "Daniel," the king proclaimed, his voice a mixture of urgency and reverence, "I stand before you entrusting the fate of empires in your hands. For your God is indeed the God of gods, and his truths surpass the wisdom of men." Daniel, filled with the Holy Spirit, bowed low, preparing himself as a vessel for divine revelation. "O king, let it be known that the dreams reveal both judgment and mercy. Each vision reflects the hearts of nations bound beneath the earthquake of pride yet beckons them toward repentance." As he articulated the intricate details of the king's dreams, Nebuchadnezzar bore the weight of realization upon his shoulders, a stark recognition that pride would lead to destruction, yet humility could usher in the glory of the Almighty. Thus spoke Daniel, "The purpose of these visions is that you may understand the sovereignty of the one who rules from heaven. As each kingdom rises and falls, the true kingdom of everlasting dominion will be established, one where righteousness and love reign supreme." With great awe, Nebuchadnezzar listened, his heart racing as he beheld the mercy of a God who relentlessly pursued even those steeped in arrogance. The message challenged him with deep personal conviction, planting seeds of humility within his soul. And in the quiet of the night, as the stars shimmered like the promises of the Almighty, the king cried out, "I have sinned against the Most High. Forgive me, O God, and turn my heart towards righteousness." And thus began a new chapter in the reign of Nebuchadnezzar, as he sought the God of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, implementing decrees that honored the Lord and reflected the true light of faith. The king convened his advisors, proclaiming the importance of worshipping the God of Israel, a declaration that echoed throughout the land, kindling hope in the hearts of the exiles. Yet, unbeknownst to the king, challenges would rise as envy festered among his advisors. Secret plots unfolded in the shadows, yet Daniel's wisdom and the faithful heart of his friends stood intact. They were beacons in a time of moral confusion, ever resolute, embodying the testimony of unwavering faith. In moments of stillness, Daniel, too, beheld visions that transcended the temporal, revealing a coming deliverer, one who would forever change the hearts of men and bridge the chasms of sin. The people of Israel, though afar in exile, would one day hear again the call of the Almighty to rise from despair into hope, restoration, and a covenant rebirth. Thus, as time flowed onward, the unfolding story of God's faithful people intertwined with Nebuchadnezzar's heart, a compelling narrative forged in mercy, calling forth the attention of nations. Under his reign, the kingdom of Babylon began to recognize the power and glory of the true God, a witness that would resonate through generations even unto the days of the coming Messiah. Finally, as the smoke of idolatry dissipated and the sound of worship filled the air, the people pondered the mysteries of divine grace, a grace that extends redemption to the unworthy, healing hearts estranged from their Creator. For as Daniel, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego stood in the fires of trial, so too would God's purpose ignite hope across the nations, ushering in the eternal kingdom manifested through Christ, where every knee shall bow and every tongue confess that Jesus is Lord. And it is here, dear friends, where this story draws us into a sacred moment, inviting us to witness the fulfillment of God's divine plan. The flames of the furnace are not simply a historical account, they are a reminder of the God who walks with us through every trial, lovingly beckoning us into the embrace of his eternal promise. So be it, that we who are part of this story take heart and stand united. Let us carry forth the truth, proclaim the light, and mark our faith with unwavering resolve. To all who read these words, hear the call. You need to subscribe now to stay connected to God's Word and His mighty works. This is the moment to help spread biblical truth. Leave a like now to amplify the message through the algorithm. Comment below with your reflections. How has this biblical story impacted your faith? Don't wait even one more second. Share this powerful testimony with at least 5 friends who need to hear God's truth today. Let us join hands across the ages, proclaiming the steadfast love and faithfulness of our God,